our chief guest, Dr. Maiji, Dr. Sekhon, and Dr. Ratan, Vice President and Secretary respectively of the Indian Society of Plant Pathologists, my colleagues, Professor Rodriguez, Professor Krishnan, and Professor Nandkumar Kamath, esteemed guests, faculty colleagues, student friends, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I have the very pleasant duty of welcoming you all to Goa. This very splendid, wonderful, exciting part of our country. For those of you who have already been to Goa, welcome back. And those who are coming here for the first time, well, I can tell you that you're going to be in for a wonderful time here. As we know, India is one of the 17 biologically megadiverse countries in the world, and a fair proportion of our biological megadiversity actually is in this region, in the region of the Western Ghats. So for any scientist interested in life forms and the processes of life, whether in the plant kingdom or the animal kingdom, this is clearly in and of itself a very exciting place to be and to visit. I'm also really delighted that the Indian Society of Plant Pathologists has, in partnership with the Botany Department of Goa University, organized the National Symposium here. I think the relationship between universities and learned societies is a very, very important and precious relationship. And I think universities in particular have a deep institutional responsibility to help learned societies in organizing these types of events. Universities alone really can do it. Universities therefore must always be in the forefront in terms of making it possible, facilitating the organizing of national and international symposia, conferences, colloquiums, and so on. Phytopathology, as we know, is really one of those ancient sciences. It's the whole symbolism of diseased crops and plants speaks to the deep core of our cultures and civilizations. Few things have, in a way, created greater fear in the human heart than seeing a diseased plant or seeing a diseased crop field. Obviously, the ancients could not always discern what was causing that disease. They were not always able to distinguish between pathogens and environmental factors. They were often, obviously, before the germ theory of disease, I mean, you didn't even know that there was something called germs and pathogens that were not visible. So those vermin which were visible were obviously seen, but anything that was not visible, not seen by the naked human eye, was obviously unknown. And obviously, from those beginnings, from those deep historical, cultural beginnings, we have emerging today a science which is truly important in every sense, but particularly in the sense of providing for the security and well-being of millions and millions and millions of people around the world. Phytopathology is really fundamental to human and social happiness. So the point that was being made earlier by Professor Kamath is a very valid one. I mean, one fundamental way in which we can remove pathos from society is, in fact, by, in a very significant way, tackling the whole question of plant disease. So I was wondering, when I was invited by the HOD of the Botany Department to be here this morning, what role I, as a professor of international relations, could possibly have. What could I possibly say about your field that you don't already know in a significant order of magnitude more than I do? And it struck me that, in fact, I should try to maybe suggest to you that there are certain fundamental developments taking place in international relations that are going to have a huge impact in the branch of learning called plant pathology. I'm going to talk only about 3 such developments, all of which would be very familiar to you, but which I would suggest actually link and in a fundamental sense place plant pathology as being one of those core areas of concern that transcends very much just the biological sciences. First of all, of course, is the pressures of feeding our burgeoning human populations. And we know increasingly how agricultural activity has been industrialized. So agriculture today takes on increasingly industrial forms. And there are certain cultivars that fundamentally, successful cultivars that are now spreading across all the continents, obviously accounting for different climatic and soil conditions and so on and so forth. But the fundamental thing is that we are creating, and we are very conscious of this, we are creating monocultures now. And therefore, to that extent, there's a fundamental diminution of genetic diversity. This is a problem which I think all plant scientists recognize. It is one of the fundamental aspects of research in the agricultural sciences, in our agricultural universities. But the fact of the matter is that there's something fundamental about the way in which we have organized our societies, both at regional, national, and indeed global levels, that makes this in some ways inevitable. So whether we like it or not, this diminution and literally in generational terms, exponential diminution in genetic diversity, particularly of plant resources, particularly those that are cultivated on mass scales, is going to be one of the fundamental factors in any study of phytopathology. And the link between the global political economy and this branch of learning, I think, is, for anybody who looks at it even closely for a few seconds, a very apparent one. I think a second broad phenomenon in international relations that is going to fundamentally impact and is fundamentally impacting on plant pathology is globalization. So ever since the Europeans set out on their discoveries, they landed, as we know, one of the first places they landed in was in fact right here in Goa. But as Europe slowly conquered and swallowed non-Europe, and all of the non-European parts of the world got tied into a global system, thanks to the European maritime colonial enterprise, essentially what has happened is, of course, that the local has been under considerable pressure. So what is local is today something that is debatable, whether we think about it in terms of economy or society or culture, or indeed the biotic, and I would say even abiotic resources. If you think about the extraction of mineral resources in terms of global supply chains, you can see how whether even the biota and the abiotic resources that we have are now being basically sourced on a global level. Production takes place on a global level. We have moved from the earlier relationship between, in a way, supply-demand. The old economy was based on supply-demand relationships, but the new economy, this global economy, is based on basically relationships of source and destination. So source and destination, the geography of the global political economy is having a fundamental impact. It is leading to invasive species, which go hand in hand with globalization. So the nature of the pathogens that, in fact, the plant resources of all our countries face, but particularly important for societies that are based fundamentally on a vital agricultural sector, is a fundamental challenge. So there are new species coming in all the time, and how we deal with these invasive species is become, I think, another core problem for plant pathology. But I think the biggest item is one that Professor Kamath already sort of mentioned earlier in his remarks, which is of course anthropogenic climate change. Because what anthropogenic climate change is doing is, among its impacts which are taking place on mass and mega scales, and also on micro and very local scales, is fundamentally altering those established natural patterns upon which all life ultimately has evolved and based itself. So we are seeing, and we will see, not just a problem with regards to access to water, for example, which is going to be fundamentally impacted by global climate change, but also, I would say, over time, the shifting of agroclimatic zones. That's already happening, but it's not still happening at a scale that is large enough for us to actually have branches of knowledge devoted to them. But I predict that in the future, a very important part, in fact, of phytopathology is going to be precisely focusing upon the agroclimatic zones that we have treated for granted. They can no longer be treated for granted. They are shifting. The tropical zone is sort of shrinking in certain parts of the globe. The temperate zones are expanding. The tundra is retreating. We all know, in fact, that the Arctic Ocean is going to be, within the next 10 years, navigable. So what was basically a completely ice-locked ocean is now going to become a new waterway for trade, commerce, etc. And you can imagine what that will do in a fundamental sense. It will fundamentally transform all relationships. It will make Europe and Asia basically as one continuum, which it is already, but it's going to be such a narrow distance now. To get from Japan to Germany will be a matter of two or 3 days of shipping maximum once the Arctic is navigable. So you can just imagine what that is going to do in terms of globalization, how it is going to change fundamentally the patterns. All of this, I would say, and I could have talked about other factors, but I shouldn't speak in extenso. I should stop very soon. But what I'm suggesting is that these are the developments that today are driving world politics fundamentally. These are the elements that we do not focus upon. And these are the elements that are going to fundamentally change the relationship between human beings and plants, and the impact of plants upon human societies. So I think it's extremely important that this National Symposium has been organized in this biologically mega diverse part of our country and the world. I'm delighted that so many of you have taken time out from your busy careers and to actually come and spend some time with us. I'm sure that my colleagues will be exemplary hosts. That has always been the Goan tradition. They were welcoming even of the Portuguese, so they'll certainly be welcoming of Punjabis, such as myself. They've been very kind to me in the short time I have been here. And I wish your symposium the very best of success, and I hope that you will leave Goa with very fond memories, both professional and personal. Thank you very much.